Namaste, Estonia. We all of us come into this world as an enlightened awareness, completely free. Our essence is absolutely whole. We actually experience ourselves as this vast field of enlightened awareness, and all of life is occurring in this that we are. As a matter of fact, science will tell you that when you are born and you're in very early infancy, you feel yourself to be a field of oneness that is so complete that when mother's hand comes before your eyes, baby experiences mother's hand as being part of itself. So one do you feel with all that exists. But unfortunately, through the natural course of life's pains and trials, this enlightened awareness that is here, it gets covered over by a series of shutdowns and blocks and lies and layers, and we lose sight of this naturally free, enlightened awareness, this divine potential that we are. And it can be something very simple. It can be the kind of thing that you're 3 years old and you're crying about something, and your mother says, come on, dry your tears. And the little infant gets it. Oh my God, I'm not supposed to feel, at least not these emotions that have the tears. And the first shutdown happens. Or it can be the kind of thing, I remember I was 8 years old, and we had a violent background in my home life. And so the way I used to escape was into books. And of course, when you love things, you become good at it. And I became a good reader and therefore a good speller. And I got chosen to represent the third graders, the 8-year-olds, in a spelling contest called a spelling bee. And all the different schools had gathered together from our county, and thousands of people were in a stadium. And I'd already spelled 3 difficult words. And then they gave me one of the simplest words in the English language, the word fleet. Now, in my children's books, I'd never seen the word fleet, but I had seen the word flea, an insect. And so I just stood there in front of these thousands of parents and children and students and teachers, and I said, F-L-E-A-T, and the whole stadium was hushed. And then all at once, it erupted into laughter. No one had given me a manual. How do you deal with mass humiliation in front of your peers? And I looked to my mother, who was sitting in the third row, for support. And she looked at me as if I was the greatest disappointment in her life. And she just shook her head and she went like this. I didn't know what to do in the face of this. And it was like this huge wall just came slamming down. And I retreated to go sit back with all the other losers. And I decided that day that I would never be smart enough. I'd never amount to anything. Layer upon layer of these shutdowns happened. I can remember when I was 16 years old, I fell in love with my first boyfriend, and I tried to impress him. And you know what it's like. You try to impress somebody and you make an absolute fool of yourself, and that's exactly what I did. And I watched the first love of my life just running out of my life. And that day I decided I would never be lovable. I'd never attract someone that I was attracted to. I wasn't worthy of love. Layer upon layer upon layer. And then when we get to be adults, in all of our cultures, we're all trained to do the same thing. We cover over all these layers with this hardened veneer, this polished veneers that says, no, I'm an adult, I've got it handled, I've got my life together. And we present this hardened veneer to the world. And then we wonder why it is everyone thinks we're so full of, you know what. Well, as adults, we wonder, why is it I have this longing, this call coming from the very depths of my being to come home to some largeness of being that I sense, some freedom, when we have a longing for enlightenment. We have a longing to experience that wholeness, to experience the divine potential, which we all of us come in as. And so we end up seeking, and if you're like me, that's what I ended up doing. I ended up studying everything in personal growth and reading books and going to seminars and taking lectures. And then I would travel around the world, meeting with all the different enlightened masters and doing the practices, doing the mantras, doing the yogas. And it seemed no matter what I did, no matter what I tried to do, somehow I just couldn't get access to this enlightened awareness. I didn't have a method. I didn't know how. And none of the practices I was doing was bringing me there. And then very often, if you're very lucky and you have a thirst like we have to awaken and to heal and to discover the greatness of your being, well, then life will give you a wake-up call. And these wake-up calls, they come in so many different forms. They can come in the form of a loss of a loved one, or a war. They can come in the form of a divorce, or in my case, it came in the form of a serious illness, where for a moment you get it, that you're just going to have to get real. And you crack through that hardened veneer that you've been projecting to the world. And you end up opening down through the layers of all the lies and the shutdowns, the hurts, the traumas, the pains, the blocks, and you end up opening into this vast, radiant potential, this huge light, this love, and you realize it's been there all along. Only all of us, what we did is we identified with the layers that covered it. And then if you get to be very lucky, as I have been more lucky than I could possibly thank God, grace, the universe for, you so fall in love with the truth inside you that you will do anything to clear whatever blocks you, whatever shuts you down, whatever obscures you, whatever veils you, so that this radiant potential, this enlightened awareness, this huge field of love that you are, that is your essence, that is your soul, can live your life. And so your soul is what's calling you home. Brandon Bayes isn't calling you to the journey. It's the love inside you, the truth inside you that's calling you home. And the journey is just a method to open into this divine potential, into the enlightened awareness, to awaken and start living from the freedom of who you are. And in this divine potential is a huge healing presence that's capable of healing any aspect of your life. And so, Estonia, I welcome you home to the truth that dwells inside you, to the radiant, enlightened awareness that is your own essence. A deep, heartfelt